a hell and powder house. Hell and powder house over Twitter. I mean, this situation with Mark Golding is set the internet on fire. I mean, everybody's going at each other. Insults are being flying left, right, and center. Tribal lines are being drawn, you know, and all kind of accusations and counter accusations and legal threat and who have lied upon retain and blah 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 and defamation of character. Whole heap of exposing a God. And me I laugh at the video if it started. Yo, me I tell you. Anyway, Mark Golding, let me calm down. Mark Golding, I've said in many of my videos that I don't support any political party and I don't support any politician. I've also said in quite a few of my videos that if Mark Golding slip him slide, and if the shoe was on the other foot, I would criticize Mark Golding just as much as I criticize Andrew Holness for all the stuff that's in the public eye right now. Should I say in the public domain. So with that says, Mark Golding, true to my word, you're going to have to get the flames and the fire. Because there's a few things which I am not happy with and I have to call you out on it, brother. You have to call you out on it. Number one, you are a legal expert, trained and experienced and qualified in the field of law. Okay? There's no question, there's no doubt there. Now, you are running for public office. You are the leader, president of the People's National Party, which is in opposition right now. You're also running and striving with the aspiration of becoming the next leader, Prime Minister of Jamaica. From my personal observation, I would say it's in the high 90s that you will be the next Prime Minister of Jamaica. The current Prime Minister and the current administration, that's the government right now, I think deep inside, they know there's a high probability that you're going to be the next Prime Minister and the People's National Party will be the next government. Now, you can't expect them not to use every single trick they have in the book to call you out on whatever they can call you out on. The same way you call them out on the Speaker of the House situation with HOLNESS because of the potential situation and obviously conflict of interest, is the same way that they have the legitimate right to call you out as well. Now, when you call out, Juliet HOLNESS, a lot of people say it was misogynistic. Your concerns wasn't about her gender. Your concern was about the conflict of interest being, both of them occupy two of the three arms within government, meaning Prime Minister, Speaker of the House, and so on. In that situation, I understand. But now, you're in a political game. Politics is a dirty game. Politics is a dirty game. You know that. And you should have known better than to enter into politics knowing that you have a situation with dual citizenship. You should have come clean and let the public know. Not only that, you should have renounced and relinquished your, revoke yourself from being a British citizen. Now, as I say, because you have the right under the law and under the Constitution to hold both citizenship, doesn't mean it's ethical, or doesn't mean it looks ethical or the optics looks good on the, in the public eye. So in that respect, I'm going to say I don't agree with you, not disclosing it till now. I mean, you have no sort of control over the fact that your father is British and your mother, from what I understand, is also, British. But I'm going to go into that in a minute and clarify. But okay, we understand that you didn't have a choice. And obviously any parent in that situation would want to give their children dual citizenship, especially in the economic and political climate that Jamaica is in and has been for the past how many decades. So I understand all of that. And you're a child, but now you're an adult, now you're a man, and you have your own destiny. So you had many chances and opportunities to basically rectify that situation, because you're in the public eye, you're running to become the next potential government, there's a high probability that you'll be the next Prime Minister of Jamaica, And not even that, you're the leader of the opposition party as well, politics. You're a member of parliament, so you're very active in politics. You're also an expert in legal affairs and the law in terms of Jamaica. So you should have known more than anybody else that even though legally you are on good standing, ethically the optics looks wrong, and you should have denounced it. And for that you have to get the roasting, because you should have come clean. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into, and you chose not to disclose that information. And it's only now when you're under public pressure, all of a sudden now you sort of open up. And you didn't even open up straight away. You had all these different elements within that supports your party, whether they said so on your behest or not, that were putting out all kind of stuff about Ayman Banya and all these type of stuff, slogans. We understand all of that. Your place of birth is not in question. Your citizenship in Jamaica is not in question. What's in question is your dual citizenship with the UK, with Britain, albeit that is Commonwealth, which means constitutionally you have a legal standing and you're not breaking any laws and you're not doing anything wrong. But the fact of the matter is, I keep reiterating, you should have come out and just renounce your British citizenship, especially when you know that you're up against a political party that will do every and anything to stick it to you as you have to them. That's just the name of the political game. So with all that said, now is a situation where you're being forced and a lot of people are questioning you, and now all of a sudden, you're now saying, okay, you went on TVJ and you formally, even though you've made statements on social media, you formally went on TVJ on that interview and you said, yes, you are British, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, the other thing I didn't agree with, apart from that, the second thing I don't agree with is what you've done, and that was a wrong move on your part, is that you said on TVJ, and I'll paraphrase, I won't quote because I don't remember. You said you will consider whether you want to renounce your British citizenship or not, and you will pray on it. And if it's found that the public at large is highly in favor of you calling for you to renounce your British citizenship, then you consider it and you'll do it and you'll follow through. Here's my problem with that. If you're genuine, you shouldn't have to be pressured and pushed. You should have taken the initiative. This is what I'm saying. You should have taken initiative. If you know you have to do something that is right, don't wait, don't hide behind the law and the letter of the law and say, well, the Constitution allowed me to do this, so I'm doing it. We all know that sometimes there's a lot of stuff that's legal and in law, but it doesn't make it right. The law there's lots of laws that's the law, but it's not right, and vice versa. So my thing is, you're hiding behind the letter of the law and you're saying what you're saying, fair enough, fine, whatever. But ethically, you know right from wrong, and you know within yourself that it's a better optics, it's a better public image if you have just come forward from the outset, and you could have done this years ago and say, you know what, I've got dual citizenship, British Commonwealth, I'm a UK citizen as well, and I'm going to take the initiative and renounce my British citizenship and stick with my Jamaican citizenship, even though I was born and grown in Jamaica, and etc., etc. That would be better for you. Not only that, it will also silence your critics and your political opponents, because now deep down they're going to find any ammunition to come at you with, and that's one of the ones that they're going to use. Now, if you'd done that from years back, then what would have happened is, even if they come out with it, the public could be like, well, them said this and that about Mark Golding, but that's yesterday, that's still news. Him been done come out and say all that already. So they're kind of late with that. I don't know. No one's going to pay attention to that because that information is already out in the public domain. But you chose not to do that. And it's only when you're under pressure, you're being pushed, then you decide to come out and disclose the information. And then now, not only that, haven't not learned that lesson, you decide to say, well, me still not going to renounce it right now. I'm going to pray upon it and think about it and obviously have discussions with whosoever behind closed doors. And you're going to do that because, if the public pressure keeps up, and I can guarantee you it is going to keep up, they're not going to relinquish. So you might as well renounce your British citizenship from now. I don't understand with a guy of your education level and your, what I'm assuming is your level of intellect, don't sort of, you know, just relinquish it. I would have done if I was in your position. I'm not you, but that's what I would have done. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm running for political office and public office, I'd have to do that. There's many other diplomats and people who have done it. I mean, notably, I'll mention DARYL VAZ. He's a U.S. citizen. He had the U.S. Dual citizenship, but you know, as you know, the United States is not within the Commonwealth. But he had to renounce it because there was no legal constitution for him to stand on anyway, and that caused a big controversy back then. And you know, he sort of went that road, and we're going to go into that in a minute, because DARYL VAZ has shot himself in the foot more than one occasion. Boy, I'm going to tell you, some people, Kettle spot say black. Anyway, confession time before we move on. I understand how Mark Golding feels. I know this video is not about me, it's about Mark Golding. I myself, you know, I'm not a Jamaican citizen. I'm a British citizen. My birth certificate says British. My passport says British. So that tells you everything you need to know. I was born in Britain, okay? Born in London. Now, having said that, I've been to secondary school in Jamaica. You know, the utmost for the highest, Rabalac, Calabar High School, the best school in Jamaica, in the entire island of Jamaica, Calabar, the best school. With that said, I understand the culture and the sentiment on both sides. And even though I'm British born and, you know, and everything, nobody can tell me say I'm a Jamaican at heart. And anybody try to tell me the difference, I'm going to tell them to go suck on I hold it back, you know, almost. I look from screen to screen. Almost. I almost said the SYM acronym, even though my constitution protect me. But true say me no Jamaican. Me no think say me have protection under the Jamaican constitution. But guess what? We have the same similar constitution in the UK, and my freedom of expression and rights is being protected. So there you go. So, and you know, eating at the Commonwealth. But anyway, my point is, I understand where you're coming from and where your father is coming from, why he would have set up such a situation with your dual citizenship. But once you became an adult, you could have made your own decision from that point onwards. You chose to maintain both dual citizenship, brother. You chose to maintain it. And for that reason, you know what that involves. You know what that entails. I get it. Jamaican economy and the Jamaican political and even crime situation, you know, make people want to upscotch and run at any time when things go south. I understand it, but you're in a particularly unique position where you're a leader of the opposition and you're potentially going to be the next prime minister of the country. So as a parliamentarian, you don't have that luxury of dual citizenship, even if the constitution in your particular case allow you. And you did say on a TVJ interview that, you know, there's many other people you know of within parliament who have dual citizenship. Now, I would have wished at that point you would have disclosed that information. The same way we are called for disclose the illicit six, yeah? At the same way, under the constitution, you know, it's the right for you to call for that. At the same way, you should have disclosed that the information there. But you didn't. And to me, what's the point saying there's others in parliament who's got dual citizenship and you're not calling a name? It don't make no sense. To me, that's kind of hypocritical. That's my opinion personally. Now, you might have your reason why you decide that, you know, you're going to hold off and you're not going to mention names now. But when I look at that in comparison to how vociferous you are and your party is, and even myself included you know, in the past and still is, about, you know, the illicit six being disclosed, it's the same way you should have disclosed other members of the parliament who have dual citizenship, whether they're in the JLP or they're in the PNP. It's just that simple. And if you're not prepared to do that, then don't mention that on TV to the whole world to see. Just say what's pertaining to you and leave it there. But the minute you say other people, then you should have named them out. And the other thing is, the host that was questioning you or interviewing you on that program, they didn't press you and say, would you care to tell us the names of those people who you've mentioned that you said has also got dual citizenship? You understand me? Them never pressed that either. But the fact of the matter is, Jamaica, out of many one people, we need to realize that don't exist. That's just a farce. It doesn't exist. There's two sets of Jamaica, and it's simple as that. And that's the way it's always been, and that's the way it's always going to be. So that's my qualms with Mark Golding in that regard. I don't agree with you having dual citizenship. I don't agree with you maintaining the dual citizenship and keeping it quiet and didn't divulge that information. Yeah. And I also don't agree with the fact that you're saying, oh, I'm going to deliberate over it and ponder it and whatever. And, you know, if the public so demand and the pressure is that mounting, then, because that's in essence what you're saying, if the public demand is demanding that, then you will, in that case, renounce your citizenship of, you know, British citizenship. And I'm like, brother, at the end of the day, no, that don't look good. So in other words, do you have to be forced? So you have to be forced in order to, you know what I mean? To do it. You have to be forced. You can't take the initiative and just do the right thing and done. I must laugh because on Twitter, you know, everybody's going backwards and forward and putting in them 2 cents and them 3 cents. And I'm laughing and I'm thinking to myself, wow, look at that. Isn't that a beautiful thing? What a wonderful thing to see democracy at work. What a wonderful thing to see, you know, the Constitution in full effect, where citizens of Jamaica, including the diaspora, can exercise and express themselves under their democratic right and their constitutional rights. Isn't that amazing? And therefore, you know, you see some people insulting other people, some people coming out strongly against Mark Golding, other people coming out strongly against Andrew Holness and other politicians. And to me, this is the beauty of the Constitution. I always say, as a person, I always welcome debate, but I don't get involved in arguments. To me, an argument is point scoring, which is futile, is pointless. I don't agree with arguments. What I into is debate. The thing about debate is I only get in, but mind you, let me just stick a pin. I only get in debates for 2 reasons. 1, I learn something from that debate. 2, the person I'm debating also, I hope, learns something from me. If that's not the scenario, then I don't involve myself in a debate either, because the debate becomes pointless if we're both debating and we haven't learned anything from it. And the idea of a debate, by the way, is not to convince somebody else and change their mind. You know, a debate is not about bashing somebody over the head with whatever information and opinions you have. A debate is about you saying your bit and you use whatever figures and sources to substantiate your position, and the other person likewise do the same. And then that's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and that's how you improve. It's upon the other person if they decide to change their mind or not. But the purpose of a debate is not to try and change somebody's mind. But the problem with Twitter and Instagram and all these places is the platform is not geared towards that. The platform is just geared to be just deteriorating to argument and mudslinging and insults. And that's all it is. And a lot of people sitting up there being condescending, and because they think they sit on a pedestal, and I'm just looking at people, and you know, things go really bad. There's one situation, one particular person that they were giving, you know, insulting him personally and attacking him, and we all know the rumors, and I'm calling him the person. It was Vegas, you know, Mr. Vegas. He's up there strongly coming out criticizing Mark Golding, which he perfectly has the right to do. He's his democratic right to do it. I think he's a member of the diaspora, if I'm not mistaken, but he still has the right to do it. He's protected under the Constitution to express freedom of expression. We're going to go through a few of the bits in the Constitution in a sec. So he has that right. And I had to go into the actual post and say, listen, guys, you have to be mature and have some type of intellect and sort of have a discourse rather than this back and forth and mudslinging and insult, which nobody now benefit from it. To the point where, and I said this, and there's another post with DARYL VAZ where I tagged Mr. Vegas in it as well. I know this video is not about him, but I'm showing you how all the dots connect, okay? So I had to tag him and tag a situation with DARYL VAZ, because we're going to go into DARYL VAZ in a minute. So hold on, DARYL VAZ, you're in the queue, wait your turn. Right now, I'm Mark Golding, and we are dealing with him. So, you know, and I point a few things out to him. Now, obviously, you know, that there was no response. My purpose of responding wasn't to get a response back or a reply back from Vegas. It was so that once you put that information out there and that person read it, they have the information. They can go do the research in their own time if they so choose. And other people who are reading the comments, who are lurking in the background, will also read when me put up. And then they will say, oh, word, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. Let me go check this out. Okay, rah, I learned something new. And that's it. That's the whole purpose of my response. So it was not for me for getting a response and then I know back and forth with nobody. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to just point it to sources and say, see sources over there, so see sources over here, see figures over here, and see figures over there. So. Because it's all good and well, you can all have our opinions, me included, have our opinion. But unless you can back it up and substantiate it with some facts, it's just your opinion, brother. Your opinion alone is valid. You know, it's valid. I'm not going to say nobody's opinion isn't valid. All our opinions are valid. But then opinions fall short when you can't substantiate it with evidence. And that's it. So, back to Golden. You know, I agree with Vegas when him say you need to declare whether you were you got dual citizenship or not. Now, goalposts kind of move and corrective, you know, kind of sneaky shuffling from time to time, but hey, it is what it is. Not everybody is debating fairly, and that, you know, that's expected. So, but I agree with Vegas when he said, you know, he came out strongly against Mark Golden and said, listen, you need to you know, declare whether you're dual citizenship or not, and if you are, even though the Constitution protect him, now it's a matter of you need to renounce it. Even though the Constitution protect your rights, you have the choice, you have the option to renounce it if you choose. That's your initiative to take. And it looks bad if somebody have to pressure you, if the public have to pressure you to do it. Now, Mark Golden, I'm not understand. So having said all of that, here's the next thing that I don't really get. Yeah? With Mark Golden. Surely you understand that, you know, it's all good and well you say certain things and you're preaching to the choir, so to speak. Your strong fan base, the strong PNP supporters, them will go back and support anything what you say. No matter what you say, them will go back and support you. But here's the thing. For you to become, according to the polls and every other researcher I've looked at, the next to become the next Prime Minister of Jamaica, you have to realize that you need to speak beyond your strong base, beyond your fan base, beyond your strong PNP supporters, the tribal supporters who support the orange. Those are not the people that you're worried about. The people you should be concerned about is the people that's A, sitting on the fence, which means they're undecisive. Them you have to win over. And two, some of the current JLP supporters who are now wavering and thinking, boy, you know what, I'm not happy with the current government and administration. And me really strongly I think and I decide to go with the PNP if you see what them have to offer. So you have those two types of people right now. Those are the people you should be targeting and focusing on. Not the die-hard core supporters of the PNP. You have them in the bag already. They're not the ones that's going to win you the next election. It's the undecisive ones sitting on the fence and the JLP supporters who is now feels, you know, sort of left out of the process and the government is not listening to them, or the government has disappointed them or let them down in some way, or the party, and now they're strongly looking to move over to the PNP and support the PNP party and you to be the next government. Those are the two groups of people that you need to talk to and convince, but you're not doing that. So when you sit up there and say, well, we see what the people them say and if the demand is for me to do this, no, you should take the initiative, because those who are sitting on the fence and those JLP supporters who are wavering, yeah, and there's a lot of them, those two groups of people are going to observe the way you handle this situation and say, you know what, me did that thing for kind of go over to film side, you know, but boy, after the whole dual citizenship and the way I'm angle it, boy, I'm not so sure anymore, you know. Maybe better the devil me know, you know. And that's the problem. So that's a mistake and a blunder you're making right now by saying you're going to wait and see. And then if this, that, and the third, then you make the decision to renounce. Brother, if I was you, I would have renounced it. But you don't have to take my suggestion because, you know, whatever. I'm just a foreigner who is looking in, who feel like me as a Jamaican and feel strongly about it because my family in Jamaica. You understand? I got families in Jamaica. And for that reason, I feel Jamaica is here for me. It's right here. So for me, I just feel like, you know, you're making a lot of blunder after blunders. You've made 3 blunders. The first blunder you make is you kept it secret for as long as you could. or let's say you omitted or you didn't really proactively disclose the information. So then when you're questioned about the information, a lot of little other press releases came out, whether it's from your camp or not, or just your supporters taking up on their own initiative and put out stuff on social media. You didn't come out and categorically nip it in the bud. Then when you do that, you kind of say, well, you know, the Constitution and, you know, do nothing illegal and which is fine, but then it looks like you're hiding behind the letter of the law. And 3, you're going to still stubbornly hang on to your position by saying, unless there's been a real shift in the demand for you to renounce your British citizenship, from what I'm getting from your interview, is like you'll wait and see, you'll think about it and get back to the public or whosoever later. And I'm like, that's a wrong move. That's 3 wrong moves you've made. So that's that. So you have to take the flames and you have to take the roasting for that. It's that simple. You knew what you were getting in when you went into politics, and that's the end of that. Now, I'm going to jump into some other situation because never really come off a Mark Gold, you know, I roast him long enough. And I hope him understand what I say. And as I said, this is the reason why I'm going to support political parties. I'm going to support politicians, because I just find them all to be slippery like snakes, all disingenuous, and none of them not squeaky clean. Mark Gold not squeaky clean, Andrew HOLNESS not squeaky clean. None of the politicians them squeaky clean. So that's different from me saying them corrupt. No, the system is corrupt, and there's corrupt politicians within the system, but who they are exactly, I don't know. And I've never named a person and said them corrupt. All I know is the system in which they operate in is corrupt, and there are few of them on both sides, JLP and PMP, that are corrupt. Now, if you were to ask me who they are, I couldn't tell you. You understand me? Because I can't fling accusation against people and I not have evidence and proof of it. Unlike some YouTubers who, every time they get a little bit of information and they get a phone call, a little voice message, then fly out and make a video. And I'm like, that is so irresponsible. And these people are purporting themselves to be intelligent and bright and all these type of terminology them like to use, you know, and them give themselves status of whatever. I'm not going to work hard, then it's going to be too obvious who me I talk about. But anyway, they're still doing a good job. So even though that's the situation, they're doing a good job. Their channels are doing very good work, you know, and, you know, we commend them for it. I mean, when me say me commend them for it, me not just attack through my, you know, some rearing. Me, I've been in situation where behind the scene, me make it known, say people and people, cause me genuine like that. Me not say me perfect and me a saint, but me genuine like that. When me say what me mean, and I'm that type of person. So this is why Golden I get film roasting, because me did say whenever I'm slip him slide. And right now he must slide, I go right down the banking, brother. He must slide all the way down, and for what I'm seeing, it don't look like he's in a hurry to correct the to take corrective measures. It just seems as if he might just go with the flow, and only when in a situation where he realize, oh shit, damage control, then he will make a decision. And to me, that's a wrong approach. That's a completely wrong approach. But hey, he's his own man. Good luck to him if that's what he want to do. In my opinion, he's going to pay the political price. The longer him dilly-dally and dilly, the more heavy the price he's going to pay, especially when it comes to the ballot box in the next general election. So, you know, if that's the case and him throw with it and him throw with the opportunity, him gonna have himself to blame. So that's that. So let's just briefly jump over in a few documents, because there's a few things me want tackle on and a few other people name and me need to call up, you know. Because me see a whole heap of hypocrisy are going on, and we're gonna get into it. Okay, so here we are over on the Constitution, the Jamaica Constitution. As you can see, the Jamaica Constitution are ordered by a council of 1962. This Constitution was made on the 23rd of July 1962, and the very next day was laid before Parliament on the 24th of July 1962. And as you can see from this Constitution, you know, it got all the stuff that's laid out here, which sort of governs Jamaica as we speak today. Okay, so that's that as it speaks. Now there's a revised version of the Constitution which goes up, which includes amendments up to 2015. So that's what this is. Now this Constitution has everything that the original Constitution here has. It's got everything in it as well, including the amendments. So we're going to use this. So let's go into the Commonwealth Citizenship. Bam, you see when you click on it, it jumps into it where the other one doesn't. So let's go to it. It says, every person who under this Constitution or any act of Parliament is a citizen of Jamaica or under any enactment for the time being in force in any country to which this section applies is a citizen of that country shall, by virtue of that citizenship, have the status of a Commonwealth citizen. That applies to Mark Golding, so he's covered and protected under the Constitution right there, no questions asked. Paragraph 2 says every person who is a British subject without citizenship under the British Nationality Act 1948, or who continues to be a British subject under Section 2 of the Act, the said Act, shall by virtue of that status have the status of a Commonwealth citizen. So in other words, even if you're a British subject, but you're not a British citizen, you will still be considered under virtue of the status of a Commonwealth citizen. So in other words, the best way to describe it to you is, let's say you have somebody who has got, who is regarded as a British subject, but at the same time they don't apply or they don't have British citizenship. Then in that respect, they will be classed as a Commonwealth citizen, but not a British citizen. And for those who still kind of confused by this paragraph, let me break it down another way. Now, you can have people who say, you remember when Britain was in the EU and Britain left the EU, when Britain was in the EU, it was a member state of the EU. So being an EU member, you're an EU citizen. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all the countries within the EU, all the respective countries, you're that citizen. So in other words, someone from France or Germany or Italy or Spain or all the other countries that was in the EU, they're not British citizens and they're not British subjects either. And they're not even part of the British Commonwealth or the British colony. But because they're a member of the EU, they're classed as an EU member. So they're an EU citizen. But if they were to come to Britain, they will have certain rights afforded to them from an economic and political standpoint in terms of their protection as an EU citizen in Britain, because Britain was in the EU at the time, but they don't have the same rights in Britain as a British citizen, if that makes sense. Again, I could take the example over to America, where you could go over to America and you reside in America permanently, you have a green card, so you're legal permanent residents in America, you have the right to live and work and do everything else. But as a citizen of America, you don't have the same rights as a American citizen. You'd have to apply for citizenship separately. And for those who are saying, well, what's the difference between, the citizenship and Commonwealth? That's basically the same thing. The Commonwealth is just basically an economic organization as opposed to a British colony. Because when you go into paragraph 3 here, it says, save as may be otherwise provided by Parliament, the countries to which this section applies are the United Kingdom and the colonies, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, Pakistan, Ceylon, Ghana, the Federation of Malaya, the Federation of Nigeria, the Republic of Cyprus, Sierra Leone, Tanganyika, the Federation of Rhodesia and Netherlands, and the state of Singapore, and so on and so forth. This is a very sort of concise list. It's not the extensive list of all the Commonwealth countries that was in it. This is a small fraction of them. Now, if you notice here, it says United Kingdom and the colonies, because what happened is you can be a colony of the United Kingdom or a British colony, but it doesn't necessarily equate that you're within the Commonwealth. So in other words, there's a question mark over whether Canada, Australia, and so on is a British colony. I know the Falkland Islands, which is not even mentioned here, the Falkland Islands is a British colony. You understand me? The Falkland Islands is a British colony, and you could equate that to Puerto Rico, who is a territory of the United States. So because Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, their sort of system is slightly different in the way it's constructed, but I'm just trying to find similar examples so you can understand. So you being a British colony doesn't necessarily mean you are within the Commonwealth and vice versa. Another brilliant example that just comes to mind is if I take, the BRICS situation. So if you remember, BRICS is made up of, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Many other countries have since applied and joined as member state or countries of BRICS. So it's a similar thing. All those respective members of BRICS is an economic union. Just like how you have the EU, that was an economic union. The Commonwealth, that's an economic union. Okay, so we need to differentiate between colonies, unions in terms of economy, and actual, citizenship for respective countries. So if you look at BRICS, people in South Africa, they don't have Chinese citizenship and vice versa. And people in Brazil don't have Indian citizenship and vice versa, but they're all member of BRICS. Do you understand me? Because that's an economic union. They've come together and decided to do certain things together and make the borders between them more like borderless when it comes to trade and economic prosperity and so on. Sourcing raw materials, etc., etc. So the Commonwealth, the name wealth already give it away. The Commonwealth just basically means you don't have to be necessarily a colony of Britain, but if you're within the Commonwealth, you apply and you join the Commonwealth, it just means that you share in the economic prosperity, trade and commerce, etc., etc., because you're in the Commonwealth. So this constitution has basically laid out legally that any country that's within the Commonwealth is afforded certain rights. And Jamaica, which was a former colony, because if we were to go by what people is a questionable independence, or Jamaican independence, and other people have a big question mark over that. If Jamaica have independence, meaning Jamaica is no longer a British colony, but it's still within the Commonwealth. It's like, so it's that situation. I can't make it any clearer than that. So because of that, those rights are afforded in that respect. So these three paragraphs, let me just jump back to that over here, that you can look at under the Commonwealth citizenship, because this is the question in terms of Mark Golding. These protects his rights under the Constitution. So because of that, they have no leg to stand on. Now there's other powers of Parliament and interpretation, and they go into some interpretations here, which is what I like. So for instance, they say powers of Parliament prescribing the grounds on which and the procedure whereby a person may be deprived of his citizenship of Jamaica for the renunciation by any person of his citizenship of Jamaica. So that's another situation here where the public is calling for the renunciation of not his Jamaican citizenship, but of his Commonwealth British citizenship. So that shouldn't be a problem, even though according to this constitution, Mark Golding's rights is being protected. But even so, even though his rights is being protected, he can go ahead and do that. And I would advise, my suggestion is you should do it. Now, the interpretation of that is alien means a person who is not a Commonwealth citizen. So in other words, if you are American, a British protected person or a citizen of the Republic of Ireland. A British protected person means a person who is a British protected person for the purpose of the British Nationality Act 1948. In other words, whether you're a Commonwealth citizen or not, if you're a British nationality, which I am because I was born in this country, then I'll be protected in that respect. But I think it's something you can apply for. I'm not too fully up on that situation. And then you have foreign country means a country other than the Republic of Ireland that is not part of the Commonwealth. Okay, and again I'll use America as a good example. Prescribed means prescribed by or under any act of Parliament. So that's what that is. So you can see clearly now they're trying to explain and differentiate the fundamental rights and freedom. Now we're going to jump into fundamental rights and freedom here because I see some situations where people are complaining about X, Y, and Z, and a lot of stuff is taking effect. And as I said, DARYL VAZ, you're up next. And it's not just DARYL VAZ. Andrew HOLNESS is going to catch some straight too. And there's this other politician, I'm not going to name him, I'll keep him nameless, because some politicians, in my opinion, They just live for the limelight and for people to call their names so they can jump up and down on social media and seek some type of relevance. And unless the subject matter directly includes you or the office in which you hold, there's no reason for me to, to mention your name. So the reason why DARYL VAZ's name is mentioned in this respect is because it's been reported, and a matter of fact, before I go into, well, yes, it's reported that he's the person behind the information regarding Mark Golding's passport, etc., being released in the public domain. And we're going to jump into that into a second. But before I do, I just want to have a quick go at Andrew HOLNESS first, because whilst we're here, we might as well, as them say, deal with everybody in one go. Now, under the fundamental rights and freedoms, you will take note that it says the right, which is the right to freedom of expression. Can you see that? I'm hoping that's big enough on your screen. The right to freedom of expression. So therefore, this is from Andrew HOLNESS and that young man who tell Andrew HOLNESS about the SYM acronym, and as a result, police draw him out time house or from under embed or whatever the case may be, force him on camera. I don't know the guy, by the way. I've mentioned this in several videos because I was kind of disgusted by it, even though I don't agree with the insults that the guy hurled at the Prime Minister, the sitting Prime Minister of Jamaica. I think you should give him a little bit more respect for the office in which he holds, even though I would admit sometimes he kind of brings situations on himself where people will be disrespecting him personally and the office he holds, because he has not, in my opinion, set a good example as a prudent leader, one that people look upon him with respect and therefore would not be looking to disrespect him. But having said that, I would personally be of the mind of choosing not to disrespect people and have personal attacks on people. You can have a bit of banter, you can tease people, you can do all of that type of stuff, as long as you keep it relatively clean and relatively, cool and above board, so to speak. So yes, the right for freedom of expression. Now, this gentleman, this guy, he told Andrew HOLNESS about his mother and all that, and Ray Tete. So having said all of that, I'm thinking now, well, if that's the case, he has that right. That's a protected right under the Constitution for him to have. So you can't do that. The next right is the right to seek, receive, distribute, and disseminate information, opinions, and ideas through any media, which is what he did. He went on TikTok or wherever he got on one of them platforms. I'm not sure which one, and him disseminate the information and his opinions and whatever media him choose, and him choose social media for do it. And so for that reason, these two paragraphs is already protecting this guy's right. Now, that's that situation. So to me, that guy, I think what you should do, bro, is you can bring a lawsuit against either the government either the government indirectly or directly to the police department, JCF. So you either bring a lawsuit against them for what they've done because they've infringed upon your constitutional rights. I'm not sure if they had a warrant to come up in your place, and even if they did, they can't manhandle you and draw you out of your place. That's abuse. And if they arrested you and bring you down to the station, they should have read you your rights and explain and articulate to you why you're being arrested and what laws you've broken and what crime you've committed. I don't think that take place. Them can't articulate a crime. No, the only thing them probably could have caught is some type of antisocial thing, but then you weren't being antisocial. You expressed your opinions and your views, which under the Constitution you have a right to do. So they've breached on many grounds there. The other thing is they brought you in front of a camera under duress, under pressure, and make you apologize to the Prime Minister. That again, to me, is another no-no and another breach. So you have grounds there for sue the police directly, and as a result, indirectly sue the government. No, you can also bring a personal lawsuit, civil lawsuit if you want, against the particular individual officers that carried out the situation that they did, where them arrest you and draw you up and haul you up and put you in front of camera. All those policemen who were involved, you can bring individual lawsuits against them, or you can just bring a lawsuit against the entire police department because they represent the police department, they're policemen, or you can bring it against the government. You have your lawyers and people who are expert in that field can, you know, sort of advise you which is the best course of action for got you out of the 3 options you have. Because if I was in your shoes, that's what I would have done. Now, the other one I want to bring up is the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Now, this brings me back to Rattigan. You remember Rattigan, from what I understand, he sort of organized and held with other people, not just by himself, jointly held a, what do I call it now? A sort of a peaceful protest and assembly in front of, was it the Jamaican consulate or embassy or something in New York? And there were people on the other side hurling insults about, accusations about them, smuggling weapons down in barrels. And obviously the representative of Jamaican government turned their back and completely ignored him, which I thought was disgusting and unprofessional, rather than walk over to the guy and give him a little 2 minute or a little 1 minute and hear him out. You don't have to agree with what the person has to say, but that's why you're in office, to hear your electorate, to hear your citizens that you represent abroad and hear their concerns. But that never happened. So it does question what's the point of you being in a building in New York if, whatever. Or even invite 1 and 2 of them up and say, listen, I don't want to be in front of these crowds on camera. You can bring your camera and 2 of you or 1 of you can come up to my office, or we can schedule a meeting where we can sit down and discuss this in a better setting. I don't know if that was extended to Rattigan or anybody within his group, but then that's another situation. And then they had certain people in Jamaica going on about, he's betraying his country. But the Constitution protects him. It says here in black and white. Yeah, it says it there in black and white. Indeed, the right to seek, receive, distribute, disseminate information in opinion, and the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association, which is what they did. The right to freedom of movement, that is to say, the right to every citizen of Jamaica to enter Jamaica, and of every person lawfully in Jamaica to move around freely. Now, this is another right of constitution that's being breached, because people can't move around freely because a lot of the beach them privatized. And there's a group of people who are trying to sue for that regard. So here you are, the constitution protect you there. So even though this can't be taken literally, because if you say the right to move around and to live anywhere you want in Jamaica, you can't just move in the Prime Minister's office and go live in the building. So, it's a bit of up and down. The right to equality before the law. There's another one here with them breached. The right to freedom from discrimination on the grounds, of being male or female, race, place of origin, social class, color, religion, politics, political opinion, and so forth. So what that is telling me is, again, I've heard a lot of people saying, Mark Golding, he's this white man from the UK, which is not true. The man is not from the UK. The man is more Jamaican than me. The man born in Jamaica. The hospital in born in Jamaica, brother. The man passport and birth certificate says Jamaica. So all you gotta say is this white man from, you can probably say it about his father. Yeah, but then his father, I've done some research, his father has done some wonderful work for Jamaican people, and so I'm grateful. I mean, I said it's because I have some Uncle Tom, I pick up for this white man. I don't know Mark Golding, I never met him, I never spoken to him. I don't know him father either, I never met him or spoken to him. But we have the discernment of intellect to have a discourse and have a discussion intellectually and do it with common sense. So at the end of the day, to me, for the man, for go out time, I bet if it was some white man, I bet you no big up Rattigan though. Rattigan, the British person who helped put dancehall on the map. Yeah. On a run back at him though. He's not the white man from Britain who appropriate the culture and make money off a dancehall and reggae music. You never say that about him though when it come to music. But when it come to this man's father, I ridicule him. And see, the Constitution protects his rights against discrimination based on color, place of origin, and so on. So we need to do better as a people, brother. How we gonna move forward and say we want the better when we can? And that's much. We not go too much more of the Constitution. It's all there in black and white for those who want to do the research and find the information. And that's that. The only thing I'm going to jump into now is a quick thing for Mark Golding. Just because some people refuse to see the information, they're going to put it in on the face. So here, Mark Jefferson Golding, born 19th of July 1965, is a Jamaican attorney, investment banker. Okay, so he's in banking like myself. Politician who has been opposition leader of Jamaica. So fine. And it gives you the rundown there, the monarch, prime minister, governor. It gives you a bit about his father's background, his early life. It does say Golding was born, in 1965 in Kingston, Jamaica. He's the younger of two children born to Patricia Nee Levi. I hope I pronounced that right, or Nee Levi. I'm just going to say Patricia Levi and Sir John Golding. I'm assuming that's his father. He's got a few letters behind his name there. His mother was born in England, and the reason why it's truncated is because I had to blow this up to at least 200%. So that's why the information is truncated. If I put it back down to 100%, everything is legible. So don't worry about it. Okay? So his mother was born in England, the daughter of a Jamaican doctor from Westmoreland Parish. So we know the father was born in England. So you're saying here the mother is born in England, the daughter of a Jamaican doctor. Okay, from Westmoreland. So that means his grandmother or his grandparents are Jamaican in that regard on the mother side. But on the father side, they're British. But even then, the mother, meaning Mark Golding's mother and father, are British. They're English in that respect. But the mother, her parents are born in Jamaica as well. So her situation is similar to mine in that respect. No, the only thing I wanted to say here is educational background, because Mark Golding did say at some point on TVJ that he was educated partly, especially when it comes to his later education, he was educated abroad. So in that regard, it says here Golding was educated on Mona Prep, Campion College, Jamaica, and Marlborough College as well, which from what I can see here, I'm not sure where that is. University of Oxford and University of London. Big up to UCL, one of the Russell Group, just like Oxford of University of Oxford. The Marlborough College is a public school, England, fee charging boarding and day school for pupils. Marlborough, so it's in Wiltshire, yes. So it's in Wiltshire, England. So 13 to 18. So I'm assuming that at one point he got it. How many years he spent there, I don't know. Now, in terms of information in regards to what's going on with let me just jump back to myself first. I just want to say there's a lot of stuff that's going on with DARYL VAZ, and it's ironic to me that DARYL VAZ has been cited as the person that's put all this information out. So I'm going to jump over here to this article that's in the Gleaner, the Jamaican Gleaner. Now I have to laugh because sometimes you use people's words and sync them. Now, we've just gone through the Constitution, yes? Now, DARYL VAZ, it says here, it's not my words, nothing is secret, big and bold. VAZ defends disclosure of Golding citizenship information, data privacy concerns mount. Now, it says here, DARYL VAZ, I'm not going to read the whole article, by the way. I'm just going to read the first few paragraphs because this goes on and on and on and on. And I don't think we want to go through all of that. We're just going to stick with the first couple of paragraphs, but the first couple of paragraphs does everything. It says it all. So DARYL VAZ on Tuesday declared that nothing, and they put him in quotes, so they're not paraphrasing him, they're quoting him verbatim. Okay? They're quoting him verbatim. So there it is. It says, DARYL VAZ on Tuesday declared that nothing is private or secret. Wow. We have some questions for you if that's the case, DARYL VAZ. So hold tight, now worry yourself. Okay? So DARYL VAZ Tuesday declared that nothing is private or secret in the face of mounting concerns over whether his disclosure of opposition leader Mark Golding's passport and citizenship information amounted to a breach of data privacy. I'm leaning on the fact that it probably is. They've quoted him again here as saying, and they quote, this is DARYL VAZ they're quoting, no public figure, whether in Jamaica or the world, wow, the world, should ever think that anything they have can be hidden. You start on the premise that anything you are involved in or associated with can be found. Yes, But then you have to think about the constitutional rights and the Data Protection Act. Because something can be found doesn't mean you have the right legally or constitutionally to divulge that information to the public. Do you understand me? That's breaching several acts, brother. So we're going to look at that in a minute to see if you breached it. No, I'm going to use your own words on your DARYL VAZ. Okay? Because to me, this is disingenuous. You say no public figure, whether in Jamaica or the world, should ever think that anything they have can be hidden. You start on the premise of anything you're involved or associated with can be found. Right, fine. Okay. Let's take your word for it. Here's my question to you, DARYL VAZ. As a minister in government, could you advocate for the release of the names of the illicit six, please? Because according to this, which I highlight in blue, we need that information because it's in the public domain and they're public figures. They're public figures. The illicit six are public figures. So come on then, let's use your words and see if you just a chat or you really are going to stand by what you say. This is not me putting propaganda in you. This is something that's posted in the Gleaner, the Jamaica Gleaner. See it there? And them quote you. And I like them I make up something and say, well boy, I think him did said this, me not quite sure. Them quote you. See the quote there? Beginning a quote and end a quote. See? Them quote you. VAZ, the Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, told the Gleaner. You understand me? And then put the Gleaner in a bowl for them show you say, yeah, I know here say, you know, like him tell somebody and then somebody tell we. Him tell we directly the Gleaner that. So them interview and tell you this. So this is how your own words are hanging because ego is a mother. You see it? And this is what it is. You're defending yourself and you're saying there's no data protection breaches. But we're going to go through that in a minute. Whether that's so or not, I don't know. I can just go through the Data Protection Act and make, and it's up to people and it's up to Mark Golden and FEMA lawyers to read the Data Protection Act and read up the Constitution and decide how they're going to move forward. But that's nothing to do with me. But I kind of have an idea what's going to happen. So what I said to him is brace yourself. But we're going to use the one words and hang you. So since you believe so wholeheartedly in this and that anything can be found and you're the telecommunications minister, yeah, you're Minister of Science, Energy and Telecommunications and Transport. So being the Minister of Telecommunication, this is another thing. How come you're a minister of so many different departments? I don't understand that. Is this conflict of interest? Let me see. Science, Ministry of Science and Energy, Telecommunication and Transport. Boy, I don't know. This not make no sense to me. But hey, him have 1, 2, 3, 4 different minister, 4 different departments, which is crazy. But anyway, we're gonna hang you with this information. I want to say we're talking metaphorically for those who are like, oh, you're threatening the minister, so you're gonna hang him. Shut up. Get some brain cells in your cranium. Okay? So metaphorically speaking, we're gonna hang you with this information because what you're saying here is that, you know, you can divulge any information you feel like if it can be found, and anybody who's a public figure, there nothing can be hidden. And because nothing can be hidden, we need the persons. We don't know who they are. We can't accuse who it is, but we do know that the Integrity Commission did pass over the name of the illicit six over to the Parliament, the House of Parliament, and that would have come on the desk of Juliet HOLNESS as the Speaker of the House. She would have seen it. That would have been passed obviously to the majority of the House, which is the JLP. They would have sight of that document and see the names on that list. Okay, and because they hold the majority in the House and they control the commission in the, is it the Oversight Commission or something to do with whatever that decide what is this what is tabled to be discussed or debated in Parliament and what isn't. My question is, using your own words right now, we need to know the names of the illicit six. We need to know the names of the illicit six. Hold your hat. There's another question for you, DARYL VAZ. The second question, we need to know also, why and where is the report of the declaration of the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister Andrew Holness, of his assets of declarations for the period in which is under question? Because we now say since him in the office for the whole time, him not declare nothing. I don't know off the top of my head whether it's 2021 or 2020 or whatever the year, the period, the tax period is. I don't know. But what I will say is, for the period in question that the Integrity Commission is saying that information about his declaration of his assets and so on, is being, is omitted or is missing, and they don't have it. The question is, that information can't be hidden. He's a public figure. He's the biggest public figure. Yeah. And whether or Jamaica or the world should think that any of these can be hidden. So why is this information hidden? We need to have it, because you're on the premise that anything you're involved in or associated with can be found. See it? That's the premise that you hold. Them quote you upon it. That anything that you're involved with or associated with can be found. So how come we can't find the information about the assets that is missing and omitted that the Integrity Commission been calling for, and them can't get it? They're calling for the illicit sick. These are stuff that's in the public domain about public officials, about public figures that we still don't hear nothing about and we have no information of. So how about that, DARYL VAZ? Yeah? So this is why when I say when people like to jump out and say things, let's just do a recap, because another thing with you, DARYL VAZ, and this is no hate, I am just being objective. I don't support any politician and I don't support any political party. But when me see wrong, me go call it out. Just like on the beginning of this video, me make sure say me roast golden. Me not have no sympathy. Me don't tell him say me wrong already. And the way I move dodgy. And anybody with any kind of integrity wouldn't want this type of thing for call and a question, and then would just come out and just declare that quick and fast and renounce the British citizenship. So at your turn, forget the roasting. So we're going to jump into something else, DARYL VAZ, because we're not done with it yet, because they have a saying we say, Patakos Kettle and call it black. So here we go. DARYL VAZ, this is your situation. People can see it. Now let's go down to controversy. Yeah, I posted this on on Twitter, and the person that was championing the JLP, which is VAZ, obviously he didn't respond to it. But hey, it no matter. Here we are. DARYL VAZ engendered some controversy over his dual United States Jamaican nationality. His mother, Sonia, was born in Puerto Rico and thus a United States citizen by birth, because as you know, Puerto Rico is the territory of the United States, albeit also a Jamaican citizen, currently resident in Canada. In 2008 or 2009, he renounced his United States citizenship in order to remain active in Jamaican politics. See it there? That me just read, that the paragraph there. Yeah? So here we are, come full circle, 2008, 2009, and now we're in 2024. And hold and behold, what do we have? The very person who is the telecommunications minister. You can't make this up, brother. The telecommunications minister, yeah, currently, who holds several other ministries actually, is sitting up there boldly saying that he has a right to divulge the information, as we've seen over in the Gleaner, that's quoted him in that respect. But not so long ago, him did in this very same boat. And I'll add that his situation is even worse than Mark Golding's situation, because at least Mark Golding's situation, he's protected by the Constitution because he's a citizen in terms of the Commonwealth, because Britain is part of the Commonwealth. In your case, you are a United States citizen and Jamaican nationality, you hold dual citizenship in that respect, according to this. So because you have that dual United States and Jamaican nationality, that's what it says here, yeah? Because of that, you are being, you had to renounce your United States citizenship, okay? Now, the fact that you renounce United States citizenship is because that would be unconstitutional. In other words, it would be illegal for you to continue in that capacity in office. That would have been untenable. So you had no choice anyway. But then the question becomes, were you trying to do it anyway, or did it become a controversy and then the public outcry, and then when you realize that, then you renounce your American citizenship? Was that the case? Or did you just do it anyway because automatically you realize that that's unconstitutional and you had to do it? Whereas in Mark Golding's case, even though I don't agree with the way he's going about it, he's got a legal leg to stand on because he's within the Commonwealth, and his British citizenship under the Constitution allows him to have dual citizenship in that respect. While in your case, because the United States is not within the Commonwealth, you couldn't. So that's the first point. Patakos Kettle, I say it black. There it is. And you not too long ago go through a similar ordeal. So this is why I'm saying you're not a politician, you're not something else. But we're not done yet. More. VAZ was charged with corruption after an investigation into a traffic violation and bribery charge involving a close personal friend. VAZ's friend, Bruce Bicknell, was ticketed on the 9th of April 2012 in a traffic offense and allegedly presented the police officer with $2,000 Jamaican dollars along with vehicle documents. That sounds like bribery. It is alleged that Mr. VAZ told the police sergeant in the case that he would be promoted if he gave Bicknell a chance. Hold on a minute. I two counts of bribery that, you know. First the money and then promotion. What you say to me? Me never know this. But you see, when you know attack certain people and we go do the research and go do the homework and more can of worms come out. Boy, may I tell you, me not understand. VAZ stepped down from his shadow minister post for the opposition Jamaican Labour Party as a result of the corruption charges. So basically at the time when this happened, he was the opposition shadow minister. So in that respect, he had to step down. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my goodness, this not look good. This is not a good thing to have on your CV. He was charged, but whether he was convicted, I don't know. And the reason why I'm saying this and I'm making this differentiation is there's one thing to be charged for something. There's another to be convicted of the charges. So there's nothing here that I've seen that says he was exonerated of those charges. But what we do know is he stepped down as shadow minister as a result. Says it there. He stepped down as a shadow minister as a result of the corruption charges, because that's 2 counts of bribery right there. That's crazy. And that just goes to show me that if it is true, I mean, this is not my word, it's in the Wikipedia controversy, so go take it up with them. In my opinion, I'm thinking these politicians who go to universities and get the best education money can buy, they don't seem too bright. They seem as if the money is wasted on them. Because here you have a shadow minister, prominent position in the Jamaica Labour Party, and you bold-faced, you have now wear a mask, so you can deny it and say, well, it wasn't me, you know, maybe that wear a mask, and unless you can point me out in a lineup and say it was me, and not me, and this, anybody can sound like me and pretend to be me. So, you know, they didn't give the name of the sergeant, but it's outlining here that he's actually, you know, offered to bribe the officer and to, you know, give him, you know, help him get promotion. So this is a case of the Kettle cursing the pot and calling it black, which is this, and then you have a stain on your record. Now, whether you were found guilty and convicted of the charges, I don't know, but you were charged for corruption, and that's a stain and a history that will never go away and that will always be on your record. And to me, serving in public office with those type of charges on your name, you shouldn't be able to hold public office. I think them need to amend the constitution. Let's say something in the constitution that me miss, that says if a sitting politician or a active politician or member of parliament have charges against them of corruption or criminality, because corruption is criminal as well, it's a type of criminality, corruption. Okay, so if you have any criminal charges or corruption charges or whatever it may be on your name, whether you are found guilty and you're convicted of those charges or not, because of that stain on your file, you shouldn't be able to hold those office, any public office in any regard. So that just goes to show me how far Jamaica needs before it gets to a position where it really can be taken seriously in that regard. So that's that situation. So that's what I have to say about, DARYL VAZ in that respect. I understand that this video is going to be a bit long. I'm trying to be as concise as possible, but I'm only mentioning people that's in the height of this conflict and this shorter shenanigan and drama in regards to Mark Golding. So Mark Golding, him get film roasting, well deserved. In my opinion, you deserve the roasting when you get, sir, because me did warn you that, you know, and you make a mistake and you slip your slide, so you have to get it. And if you don't renounce your British citizenship, you go continue roasting and come up against it, because even though legally you have a leg to stand on, I think ethically it's untenable. And if you're gonna run and lead the people in that regard, You need to show the people, demonstrate that gesture of renouncing your British citizenship. It's that simple. When you finish, when you come out of office, you can reapply for your British citizenship. I'm sure they'll give it to you because of the descent of your father. So, you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be a problem for you to get it back in later on down the line. But for right now, brother, because of the occupation that you have, you can't have both. I don't think it's yes, legally you can, but ethically I think it's wrong. That's my opinion on it. And yeah, and that's what I'm going to say about that. Now I want to talk about something else, because we have a situation where Mark Golding has also indicated that they're trying to pass some new constitutional legislation, because as I said to you before, I've only read the one which has got the revised edition up to 2015. I'm assuming that there's another one that's bringing into effect for 2024 that's currently under sort of review. And from what I understand, the Prime Minister has trying to get this passed through and execute to become the new set of amendments to the Constitution in that regard. But Mark Golding is kind of holding out because he wants a clear step away from the British judicial system and British rule. He doesn't want to have half one foot in and one foot out. And that's another thing. If you're going to say that, but at the same time you have British citizenship and Jamaica citizenship, even though the Constitution allow it, that's still 1 foot in and 1 foot out too. So, you know, that can be seen as being hypocritical, you know, Mr. Golding. So that's that. Now, having said that, I agree that if you're going to make the move to completely go republic and remove yourself completely from under the rule of the British system, then you have to come out completely. You can't do it in stages and come out halfway, because them already trick you. So we are of independence, and I've done videos going back over a year or two saying that Jamaica is basically a vassal state. But you know, people never believe me. But no, you know, I even spoke about vibes cartels way back then over a year ago. People still never take it serious. But hey, no, everybody are quote A, B, and C. I've mentioned videos talking about Mark Gold, Andrew Holness as well. And that's what we're going to jump on to next. So the fact that Andrew Holness wants to get these new constitutional laws passed, but the fact is he wants to keep the British, the Privy Council for now. And I'll say for now, because what we're hearing is he wants to do it in stages. He wants to first bring in these amendments to give him, to turn Jamaica into a republic, which would probably put him into a position where he could normally be the president, which in my opinion, that's unacceptable. That has to go to the vote. The people have to vote for a president. You can't elect a president and get your cronies and your majority share. No, that's not democracy. I'm sorry. If you're gonna do that, then you might as well become a dictator country. And we're not into dictatorship or communism over here. So you have to put that to the people, and you have to vote you to become a president and vote someone else to become prime minister. And in my opinion, Jamaica is too small for president, prime minister, and all these different things. That's, to me, that's the same monarch system. You just replace the governor general with a president. And then you have the prime minister still around the day-to-day administration of the country. Jamaica too small and too broke. We need a president, brother, because I can imagine the amount of money when they're going to award a president. When you get rid of the governor general, whatever money, whatever salary, man, how much millions in Japan, Jamaica immediately save that money. Why should we then take that money and give it to any future president to occupy a nominal position, which have kind of jurisdiction over everybody else, including the prime minister? That can't make no sense, brother. That's not democracy. We're not going down that road. Jamaica too broke. We don't have no money. Our infrastructure is set up for that. So if we're going to break away, we have to also at the same time break away from the Privy Council. On that, I agree with Mark Golding. And apparently that's what the sticking plaster is, where Andrew Holness wants to go republic, but he wants to keep the Privy Council for now. Whereas Mark Golding is saying, I want to go republic as well, I agree with you upon that part, but we don't want to keep the Privy Council and then later on revisit that. No, we want to do everything in one go and break it clean, cut and clear. And I agree with that. So that's fine. So that's where the situation where they need 3 signatories on it, I think. One from the opposition, and Mark Golding, as far as I understand it, has given out the sort of orders, if you like, that nobody including himself, is not going to sign any document that's going to endorse the amendments to come in, unless it is put in the document that we're going to completely move away from the Privy Council as well. And there's something in black and white that assure and guarantee that that's going to happen once this transition start to take place or commence in terms of Jamaica becoming a republic. To me, if Jamaica become a republic, you don't need a president. You just need a prime minister and a deputy prime minister. What do you need a president for? What's the role of a president? So if you have a president and a prime minister, what you don't need, so do you have a deputy prime minister as well? I mean, what's going on there? Or do you understand what I mean? And a deputy prime minister and a prime minister is not the same as a president. The powers that them hold is different. So this is why, given Jamaica's history of corruption and nepotism for over the decades, Jamaica is not in a position, they don't have the capacity, the infrastructure, or the funds to entertain a presidency. We don't have that. And if Jamaican people vote and endorse this president thing, you're just going to get back right which party start. You'll be a republic, but you'll be a republic with this inheriting the same problems. You understand me? You want a situation where no one person can sit above office and is not answerable to the people. Because right now, the Governor General sit in office and he doesn't represent the Jamaican people. He represents the king. His sole role in Jamaica is a representation of the king. He's there on the king's behest. His oath is sworn to the king in that regard. So that's understandable. That's the system we've inherited, because themselves we alliance and Jamaica independent. But if Jamaica is independent, the Governor General wouldn't exist. So that's that situation. The Privy Council wouldn't exist either, because Jamaica would have their own final court, and that would be that. So the reason why I'm harping on this is because we're going to jump over to Andrew Holness, because the reason why I suspect Andrew Holness doesn't want to get away from the Privy Council just yet, even though he said just yet, but that, if somebody say we'll deal with that later could be 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, or never. You understand me? Because there's no timeline on it. So in my opinion, I think Andrew Holness wants to keep the Privy Council but become a republic is because he wants to have his cake and eat it. He wants the best of both worlds, which is very disingenuous. Come clean and be honest. Now, I've said in many videos before that Andrew Holness is a member of the Privy Council. And there it is. If you're a member of the Privy Council, now we can see the conflict of interest. Now we can see why you want to be a republic and be president, but at the same time, you don't want to leave from the Privy Council because you're a member of the Privy Council. And that's what we're going to jump into over here. So let me just jump to that screen now. So here we are. I was going to show you this first. Jump to this tab with the Jamaica Information Service. I should have blown this up a little bit more so you can see it, just so it's legible on the screen. There you go. I was going to read it. That basically it's just a story, a few paragraphs saying that he's been appointed, member of the Privy Council. So just in case people say, well, that's a propaganda. No, the Jamaica Information Services carried the story when they published it. This was back in 2021. And they've said that he became a member of the Privy Council in, what's the date? But we can corroborate that date anyway. The appointment became effective, here it is, became effective May 26, 2021. Okay, so that's that situation. Now, if you jump over to the list of current members of the Privy Council, which is over here, you will see that all we have to do is, if we go to the list of councillors, there are the list of councillors. There you have Diane Abbott. She's a member of the Labour Party, I think, in Jamaica, Shadow Home Secretary. I've seen her a few times around London. I think she has some type of connection to Jamaica. And according to the current rule, Diane Abbott could come and sit in Parliament in Jamaica if she wanted to, because Jamaica and Britain is a part of the British Commonwealth. So she could sit in the Parliament, and I'm not sure if she could even be a parliamentarian even. You understand me? So that's the situation. You could argue that maybe someone from Jamaica can also come over and sit in the British Parliament as well. So most of these parliaments, as you know, have chambers where the public can come in galleries and view the day-to-day running of the country, where politicians debate and argue out points of bills and what's to be passed and so on, you as a member of the public can go in and sit in. Obviously is subject to security searches, etc. But you can. Whether Jamaica have a similar thing where any member of the public, because under the constitution, I didn't see it, maybe it's there but I haven't seen it. If not, that might be another amendment they need to look at, where members of the public, you know, subject to security checks, etc., can actually go inside a gallery and sit down and view and even film, you know, their representatives, their servants, because these are public servants for the people, carrying out the day-to-day administration and the day-to-day, you know, aspects of business, and we can observe and film them doing it, just like they have films on CCTV anyway. But we're just going to scroll down. There's quite a few people. Now, let me just do a search for Andrew Holness, because he's what I want to jump to. So we jump down here, Commonwealth politician, you see, Andrew Holness, and it shows it there, so you know, so we're not mistaken, I am CM1. He's been appointed the 26th of May 2021. JIS said the same thing actually, 26th of May 2021. Yes, so we corroborate the date, so the date is there. Prime Minister of Jamaica from 2016 to present. So he is a member of the Privy Council. So if you scroll all the way up to the top of the page, you see a list of current members of the British Privy Council. There it is, black and white. We now for anything me go put. You may have my own opinions, but when it comes to certain things, especially when it comes to public figures, me put my information and me corroborate my information. And I would encourage and suggest that anybody on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube or wherever, if you're going to put out something about a politician or put out something about any public person or any public figure, make sure you have your evidence to prove. Not just have talk through the side of your mouth, and when people question you, you not have no comeback feet, because then you just look like you just a chat and you not have no real whatever. You know, some people might feel say them not owe it to anybody to explain themselves or provide any evidence or substantiate any form of proof or anything. But then if that's the case, you must be prepared. If you put stuff in the public domain, you must be prepared for it to be challenged. Some people go challenge you strong, and you might not like the way them challenge you, and you come across like them attack you personally. But you put yourself up, you set yourself up in that arena, and that comes with it. Some people like myself is going to be a bit more diplomatic and a bit more, you know, have a bit more decorum about the situation. But not everybody will move the way me move, and it is what it is, as they say. So my thing is, Andrew Holness, who is a member of the Privy Council, the British Privy Council, current sitting Prime Minister of Jamaica, I'm assuming that this is probably the reason why I'm not want to get rid of the Privy Council. I'm not want to get rid of the Privy Council because he's a member of the Privy Council. You understand me? And for that reason, him not want to leave. That's my opinion. Now, that might not be the reason why I want to keep the Privy Council for now, and then later on in another stage, him get rid of it. But I agree with Mark Golding when Mark Golding said, if we're going to get rid of, you know, the monarchy and the rule of so on and so forth, we should get rid of Privy Council at the same time. I understand that, and I agree with that. So that's how these three men, how I've gone about doing this video, because there's a lot of up and down and miss and backwards and forwards going on. The other thing I want to also cover is a situation where when you become a member of the Privy Council, and let me just jump back to that quickly. Okay, so let me jump back. When you're a member of the Privy Council, did you know when you're a member of the Privy Council, you have to swear an oath of allegiance to the King? It's required. You have to do it. So for Andrew Holness to be a member of the Privy Council, he would have had to swear an oath to the King. But at the time when he did his oath, it would have been to the Queen when she was alive. Now, I don't know if when the Queen passed away and the King now, which is King Charles, if he has to renew his oath to the King. I don't know if that's a thing, or if once you pledge your oath to whosoever the monarch, leader of the monarch was at the time, it stands regardless of who becomes the new queen or the new king. but that's a situation because, as you know, the Privy Council originally used to make up of what is called hereditary peers, which means people who are directly selected by the crown being the monarch. Okay, now since then they've changed up a lot of stuff and they've revised it to the point now where members of there was a time when Andrew Holness and Diane Abbott at the top of this list and many others wouldn't be able to be a member of the Privy Council, would only reserved for hereditary peers, because as you know, you have the House of Commons and you have the House of Lords, and in the House of Lords is where the hereditary peers reside, and anything from the House of Commons that goes through the different court and judicial system, the hereditary peers have last say. So when it goes up to them, the hereditary peers that sit in the House of Lords would be able to make a final decision on anything within the Privy Council, so to speak. So it is a bit confusing, but just to repeat and clarify, in the House of Commons is the people that is there because they've been elected and by the people, so to speak, the MPs. So the MPs them occupy House of Commons, which is Parliament, and then you have the House of Lords, which is a higher house, which is occupied by the hereditary peers, and they sit on the Privy Council as well. So I think that's the best way to explain it. Now, in the Privy Council, as you say, you have a lot of these guys, other people on there, members who's not just only the members from all over the Commonwealth that sits on this council, on the Privy Council. There's people from all over the place. It's not just Britain, it's not just Jamaica. It's basically people within the Commonwealth, as far as I understand it. So, I'm just saying all this to say, I think that that's the reason, in my opinion, why, Andrew Holness doesn't want to get rid of the Privy Council just yet. But how can you get rid of the Privy Council but at the same time keep hereditary peers, but then you swear an oath of allegiance to the king? Now, the oath of allegiance under the United Kingdom for the Privy Council is this. Okay? So you have the oath of allegiance, United Kingdom, the oath of allegiance, judicial or official oath, is promised to be loyal to the British monarch and his or her heirs and successors sworn by public servant. But there's a particular section that's particularly only targeted to members of the Privy Council. So if I quickly jump down here and I can find it, I just type in Privy Council, because even though I've just read that information at the top, that doesn't necessarily bode well for Privy Council members. So here it says, members of the Privy Council only swear allegiance to the King's Majesty, not the King's heirs and successors. Okay, that's interesting. So when Andrew Holness became a member of the Privy Council back in 2021 or whatever, he became, when was it? 2021, yeah, May 26, 2021. When he became a member of the Privy Council back then, he would have sworn allegiance to the Queen, isn't it not? And if that's the case, then according to this, if you're a member of the Privy Council, you only swear allegiance to the King's Majesty, not to the King's heirs and successors. So in other words, his children and anyone that succeeds him or them after, you don't swear allegiance to them. So this is what I said earlier on, when he did this for the Queen, would it be a situation where he has to renew his oath of allegiance to the King? But then he's visited the King in recent times, in 2024. We've seen pictures of them shaking hand and all kind of stuff. So, there's that situation. There it is in black and white. He's a member of the Privy Council. And that might be a reason why he doesn't want to, give up the Privy Council for now and just stick with the Privy Council, but at the same time become a republic. Now, I do have a copy of the oath of the Privy Council. So each Privy Council have to make this oath as a member. So Andrew Holness would have to make this oath as well. Now, I've redacted out most of it because I've been reading some stuff that I'm not quite sure if I need to divulge all this information, but there's places you can find it. But the last few letters says, generally in all things you will do as faithful and true servant ought to do to His Majesty. So help you God. So that's that bit there. And, also if I scroll to the top and I just reveal a little bit again, it will tell you there, You do swear by Almighty God to be true and faithful servant unto the King's Majesty as one of His Majesty's Privy Council. You will not, etc., etc., etc. And there's some stuff in there which basically says, you know, and I'm not gonna show it to you because, as I say, I'm not quite sure what the legal standing on this is. But what I will say to you is, you know, I have to draw a big black box and just read the entire thing, and just show you the first line at the top and the last line at the bottom. But as you can see, you know, him swears allegiance to the monarch. Now, to the king, or in his case, it probably was the queen. Now, I'll say this to you: a lot of stuff that I've read in here is eye-opening and alarming. And I'll just mention a few things to you. In essence, what this means is that, you know, and let me just kind of jump back over. What this means in essence, yeah, is that Andrew Holness, as being a member of the Privy Council, once you swear your allegiance to the king or the queen, you basically, everything you do and say, you have to put them first. And whatever information that you have or you hold, you cannot divulge that information without their consent. So let's say the king or anybody else within the Privy Council catch wind of something that the king or somebody within the monarch wants to do. Because you swear allegiance to them, you can't tell anybody, not even your own parliament. You can't tell them. So that's a conflict of interest. I don't understand how you can be, but you see, because the Commonwealth thing, that's the loophole, you see. Because now you can argue that, well, Jamaica is part of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is, you know, headed by Britain. Britain is headed by the monarch. And then if you're part of the Privy Council, then by swearing your allegiance to the king, you're indirectly swearing allegiance to the Commonwealth, which means your country is in the Commonwealth. You understand? So this all kind of sounds sinister, that you don't want to leave the Privy Council because you've already sworn your allegiance. And even though you want to become a republic, because of your sworn affidavit or your sworn allegiance to the king or the queen, if that's who you swore to, I'm not sure how that works, but you swore allegiance and an oath of allegiance to somebody as a Privy Council member. And in that respect, you have to uphold that. What the consequence of the punishment of that is, I don't know. So even if the country wants to go republic, you, Andrew Holness, from what I can gather from these documents and stuff that I've shown, you can't really do anything that will kind of put them at a disadvantage in that regard. So I don't know, maybe you need to iron out a few kinks and go back to your masters and have some word with them and discuss the current climate, political climate of the country and what's going to happen, and then them give you permission and relinquish you and say, okay, you can go. That may be what it is. So maybe even if you want to leave, you can't tell them, say, boy, I want to leave the Privy Council, but I can't because I'm under oath. And I can't divulge the reason why to the public because I swear an oath of secrecy and privacy. It's all there. I redact it, but I've read it. It's there. Now, if anybody want to read this information, I can give you the link and you can go by yourself. Copy the link down and go there yourself and grab the information. The link is, just give me a second. There is the link. Now, I'm going to blow this up so you can see it a little bigger. So don't worry, don't fret yourself. I got you covered. I'm going to bring it up as big as I can so you can see it on the screen. So there it is. Independent.gov.uk. Yeah. And that's the link to it. So it's http privycouncil.independent.gov.uk, and then whatever the title of this is. So that's the link. You click on that link and you'll find it. All you have to type is oath. What I did to find it, and it's the first thing that came up when you type it. So all you have to do is type in oath of allegiance, yeah, colon, Privy Council. You don't have to put a space in it. You can just have it like that. I normally have it like that. I don't know why I have a space, but it doesn't matter. So oath of allegiance, colon, Privy Council. Just type that in your Google search, and this will come up on the link, the independent.gov.uk, and you see the oath of Privy Council. And when you click on it, it takes you directly to that document. It's a PDF document. Takes you directly to that document and you can read it yourself. But me now publish it online because I'm just not going to do it. But you know, I haven't divulged any secrets in it. I'll just basically just show you the evidence that you know, they are in that regard swear allegiance to the king or the monarch in that respect as a member of the Privy Council. So given that's the case, I'm thinking he can't just abscond and give up the Privy Council even though he wants to go Republic. I'm thinking either because he don't want jeopardize his position on the Privy Council, which is a conflict of interest if that's the case, especially if we go you know, Republic, or two, you know, it's a situation where he probably needs special permission and for them to relinquish him first before him do that. And I'm thinking once you go as a, you know, once you basically go Republic, there's sets of procedures as administration that you have to go through in terms of documentation in order for you to be fully you know, removed from the Privy Council as a Privy Councillor, as a member of the Privy Council. I don't know how long that procedure takes, but given everything that I've uncovered so far, I will assume that that's the reason why he can't sort of do both in one go, because it takes time for him to then hand in his notice, do the proper documentation. It goes up through the process of the Privy Council. It goes before the king or whatever. They review it, look at it, and then they say fine, and then stuff is handed back down to him, and now he's a free agent. And then now, because from what I understand, you can't be a member of the Privy Council and you're outside the Commonwealth. Andrew Holness moved to finalize to become a republic. He has to at the same time remove himself from the Privy Council. Now that procedure and that process may take longer, and maybe that's why Mark Golding is saying, listen, I'm not doing one or the other. So because if you do that, in respect, we're a republic, but you're still sworn an oath and allegiance to the Privy Council, and under that oath document that I redacted out, on the oath he is obliged to report back or reveal any information to the king or the Privy Council by the Privy Council to the king, because that's where he swore his allegiance to. So he has to do that, which tells me that there's more than one people reporting back to the monarch. You have the Governor General, whose allegiance is to the and loyalty is to the king, to the British Empire, and you have a Jamaican Prime Minister, sitting Prime Minister, who is a member of the Privy Council, who has also sworn an oath and allegiance and loyalty to the king in that respect as well. Not necessarily to his successors or to his heirs, but to the king. Now they say king because maybe they've revised it because the queen has passed away. And as I said to you, and I need to repeat just to be clear, I don't know if when he swore his allegiance to the queen, when she passed away, he was summoned before the king by the Privy Council or whatever to say, listen, you need to review your oath and renew your oath before the king. Because the oath is not something that is automatically transferable from the queen to the king or from the king to any of his other successors. I think it's a situation where each time somebody takes the throne, you have to go in and renew it over again to that person that occupying that chair or the throne at that particular time. So that would make sense to me. So, you know, all of this just goes to show you that Jamaica is between a rock and a hard place when it comes to our politics, our judicial system, and allegiance. So when people sit up there and say the things they say about Mark Golding, and then you have Andrew Holness, who's the sitting Prime Minister, who is a member of the Privy Council, and I'm like, we're already looking at the Governor General sideways with a side eye, because we know what he represents and why he's there, because of the way the Jamaican system is currently set up. But then when you deeper look into the Privy Council and the oath that they have to swear as Privy Council members, then you start to realize, well, hold on a minute, so you can't serve two masters, brother. You can't serve two masters. But according to this, because it's in the Commonwealth, there's only one ultimate master. There's one ultimate master, which means if we were to go by everything that we've uncovered in this video, the Prime Minister, it would seem, it would appear, that his loyalty and ultimate allegiance is not just to Jamaica, but also to the King. And if that's the case, can you swear allegiance to both? And which one are you going to be loyal to? Who supersedes who? Well, according to them, the Privy Council, because he's a member of the Privy Council. And as you know, judicially, legally, anything that can't be solved in Jamaica, in the highest courts in Jamaica, is then, passed over to the Privy Council for them to look at it. As you can tell, they've already ordered, the Privy Council, from what I understand, is already ordered that Vybz Kartel legal fees and whatever should be paid in full. So I don't hear anybody from the Jamaican government putting in an appeal and saying, well, we don't agree with that decision, we're going to appeal against it. That's the final decision from the Privy Council. So you start to see how flawed Jamaica's system really is, and how these politicians really manipulate and lie to the people and distract. And this is why I say I don't support political parties and politicians, mate. It sicks me to the stomach when you find information out and there is no outcry in Jamaica. Poor thing, Jamaica, we're trying our best with what we have. But the problem is a lot of Jamaican people can't read. And the other half we can't read, too lazy for read under the research. And half of this video, probably most people don't even make it this far in the video. But hey, it is what it is. I'm going to finish here. I've seen and I've heard enough. I'm done. But I'm feel sorry for Jamaica. Good luck, brother. Because the forces that's against you is in high places. And that's all I have to say.